What's up, Bills fans? Apologies, I didn't do a live after the game. I was just, I was just wiped out, tired from the previous week and stuff, and nothing. I meant to eventually come on, but it's kind of cool that all the stuff that's happened since. So we got way more to talk about, right? I don't think there'll be many people in tonight, but for those of you who come in, awesome. Again, if it's 1 or 100, I appreciate it. We talk about the game. We can talk about Beasley. We can talk about whatever you want to talk about. So the floor is yours. From the game, obviously, even though the Bills won, it was it was a crazy game. There was so many times where you felt like the Bills could just put their foot on the throat and just kind of go away with the game. It just stayed in that awkward zone where you felt comfortable but not quite comfortable, especially coming from the Minnesota game. I never quite felt like, Mike White had it, especially after taking those hits. He was severely, severely compromised. And frankly, for the league that preaches safety, player safety, and all this stuff, it wasn't even after the second hit from Milano. It was the sack from Shaq Lawson where he laid there, and it wasn't even a hard hit. He's just like laying there. And look, if that would have been a boxing match, the ref would have just stepped in and said, like, dude, we've got to get this kid out of the game. You can't tell me they took him back in the locker room, ascertained whether he had a punctured lung, a severed spleen, a kidney, something to that effect. That shit is dangerous. And I respect that he's tough and wants to stay in the game, but just the way that was celebrated, right? That kind of toughness. And if a guy just gets tapped on the fucking head, we're pulling him out. We got spotters yanking him out of games. But it's all right for that kid to take that kind of ass whooping and just, and to be honest with you, it just stems with something that came from, I started noticing with the Jets. They're very shady with their injuries. I don't know if you guys had watched Minnesota versus the Jets. I get it here in the North New Jersey area. Bro, I'm going to cite a ton of examples. Their starting right tackle, Max Mitchell, the rookie, starts the game, leaves the game like early, like mid first quarter, like he's just limping out of the game. They don't say nothing. They give no reason why. George Fant comes in, plays for him. The next day on Twitter, I see, Max Mitchell put on a non-football injury list with blood clots. They just had the kid start an NFL game. Dwayne Brown hurts his shoulder in the game. Like you could see him like doing this. He's 39 years old, not on the injury report, nothing. Got no treatment for that, nothing. Michael Clemens, rookie D-end, left the game twice on a cart. Twice. He's on the injury report all week with an illness. Doesn't play in the game. Bills game. Mike White got hit on the forearm, was down a little while, actually converted a fourth down right thereafter, but they ended up, not being able to punch it in the end zone. Their nickelback, Michael Carter, left the game with an ankle. Their backup nickel, Eccles, hurt his ankle in the game, ended up hurting his ankle again in the Bills game. He's apparently out for the year. So there was just a ton of just dusty ass shit going on with them and their injuries, like from Jump Street. And then even Quinnen Williams, he's laying on the ground. They pull him from the game. The independent neurologist, he's holding his arm. You could see his arms hanging like he has one of those stingers or whatever. And I think he misses like 2 plays. He's like, he's been cleared. He's back in. It's like, okay. Ended up leaving the Bills game, ironically, with a calf. It was kind of a scary injury for Jets fans, I'm sure, because it looked like one of those non-contact injuries. It was really fucking the Bills up, though. He's definitely a game wrecker. But yeah, it was a crazy game where the Bills, it just seemed like the Bills, one of those games where the Bills early on were beating themselves, couldn't get out of their own way. First, was it the first or second, the first third down of the game? If Allen, that was the one pass where he was off to me. There's talk of Allen being off during this game. Maybe, there was a few throwaways, a slight ball location here or there, but a majority of those should have been caught. And we all know what we're talking about here. But that one, if he hit Diggs on that one, I think Diggs could have took that to the house because it was just him and the safety. That was the biggest miss of the game for me. There was just Bills just shot themselves in the foot. Their second drive of the game, they got the ball past midfield and just stalled out. They got sacked. I think that was their first sack out of any sort of decision whether to go for it or not. They end up punting the ball away, their first of like 5 consecutive punts. But on that drive, I'm sorry, John Brown kind of got a pass on that. He had the ball pinned to his chest, and he still got it jarred away. I mean, to me, that's a drop. You're an NFL receiver. You have the football pinned to your chest. You got to come down with that. It would have been 1st and goal at the 2. That's number 1. Every penalty in this game, and I kind of got people talked about the penalties a little bit, and I know Deion Dawkins was battling an ankle, came in tough. What's up, Doug? How you doing? You know, he tried to play through it, but the penalties that were taken in this game were just all of them concentration gaffes. The drops were concentration drops. They weren't contested catch DB drops. Those were 3rd downs. The one down they were both on the left sideline. It was like a 3rd and 19 because of a penalty, I believe. He's going to catch that and gain like 22, 23 yards. And he just like intramural drops it. That's a shit a kid does in Pop Warner Pee Wee football. The second was a 3rd and 2 after another penalty backed them up. They ended up getting it like a 3rd and 2, 3rd and 3 situation. Allen hits him, drops it. Even the one to close out the game with Knox, I felt like it was a tough catch. Maybe Allen needed to get it out in front of him a little bit more, but I felt like he had it and should have came down with it. Mosley ends up being able to get it away from him. There was a second and 10, a 2nd and 9, deep in the Bills' own end. You know, there was a nice little dump off to Motor. He just fumbles it around and drops it. Could have gained 6-7 yards there, gave him a 3rd down and manageable. The next play, they get a penalty, backs them up. And I think there was one sequence where they got like 3 straight penalties. One was an offsides, one was a hold, the other was, it was a clusterfuck. It was really, really bad. Yeah, Eric, I was sitting here apoplectic. Like that whole first quarter was just driving me absolutely nuts. What's up, man? Yeah, Jesus Christ. Stop the fight there, Johnny. Holy shit. I see Sabre fans belly aching. Next thing I know, it's like 3-0. It was just like every time 3-0, 4-0. Then I started watching on ESPN Plus, and it was like a really good kid playing the hockey video game against a kid that sucked. It was crazy. But yeah, that was a fun watch. But yeah, it was such a frustrating game. And I don't know how you guys feel about Mike White. I feel like he's an okay quarterback. He's not going to make plays above the X's and O's. He's tough as shit though, but I think he's too tough for his own fucking good. And the coaching staff on the other end needed to protect him, and they just kept running him out there because they know Flacco is a statue. They can't trust their 2nd overall pick to do anything. He's inactive. And they have a guy that they've cut 4 times starting for them. Like some of the hits that he took, that's probably the hardest you can hit a quarterback and not get flagged. Like those were kill shots. Like I've never seen a dude get dead sprinted on and get his shit pushed into that effect. And I felt like Fitz was more mobile though, Eric. I felt Fitz is a little bit more mobile. I don't think White's mobile at all. Like, for example, there was the one sack Ruseo had. He was rolling out to the right and he just holds the ball. And I'm like, he takes the sack and I'm happy about that. And I'm like, why didn't he just throw it away? Like, he could have just thrown it away. How about the one that Lawson had? It's like he sees Lawson coming at him and he just kind of like stops and like takes a mental picture. He's like, is this guy really going to get me right now? and he doesn't throw it away, and he takes the hit and he kind of lays there. That's the one where, Andrew, I feel like whoever the independent spotter is, whoever the people who are supposed to protect players in the arena, in the stadium, I'm like, yo, dude, if, again, I said it, if this was a boxing match, like, he would have been, the fight would have been stopped. They would have said, dude, no more for you. You're done. But yeah, Johnny, I'm here at North New Jersey, as you know, New York area. And they literally, the talk in the preceding days has been if they've discovered the next Kurt Warner. And I'm sitting there saying they're 1-2 in their last 3 games. They beat a terrible Bears team who, with their backup quarterback, tore his oblique in the warm up, and a depleted Bears defense where a guy, Eddie Jackson, tears his Achilles in the middle of the field, and Garrett Wilson catches a gift touchdown and just runs while he's laying there grabbing his Achilles. Shit like that happened that day. It was like they stepped in shit and smelled like roses every time. And they are just, oh my God, head over heels. And I had to tell some, I'm like, you realize they scored 10 points, right? Oh, but I was like, is that how low the ceiling is? You scored 10 points. Oh, but he's coming off 300-yard games against shitty defenses in domes, and he couldn't punch the ball in the end zone. He was only able to punch the ball in the end zone on six tries in the red zone against Minnesota. 6. They were 1 of 6 in the red zone. 1 of 6. Oh, that's not his fault. That's because of this and that. It was just a whole, like, nothing was his fault. And it's not a pile on Mike White session. It's just like the delusion. It's like he has no touchdown passes. Like, he had no touchdown passes. He had 2 picks. He's a broken man right now. And you have arguably the hottest team in the league coming into your building, the Lions. Like, wake up. Like, that's a real team. That's not a get right team for you. That's not a get right team. It's just hilarious. Read some of your comments, guys. I watch a YouTube channel by Jets fans called New York Jokes. It's hilarious. They do reactions to games, and the Bills one was funny. Ed Oliver dropped his ass hard as hell. Yeah, that was the first one. That's what started it, Doug. And then the Milano one, man. Oof. That's the one. That might be the hardest hit in Bills history. I think that might be the hardest hit in Bills history. Where a player had to literally go out of his way for the refs to stop the play. Yeah, that was Devontae Parker, right? And Aguilar, I believe, Andrew. Yeah, it was like, oh, Zappy. It was like 2 games. People, and you have the media who attaches themselves to this garbage. Like the victim of the moment media is what I like to call them. It's like, oh, Bailey's like, okay, what happened to him? He's a ghost now. Now I have to see Dan Orlovsky put out videos of Mac Wilson, hitting Hunter Henry down the seam and talking about how Mac can play. I mean, like, yeah, they're playing against a garbage Arizona team. They're garbage. They suck. Okay. Even if Kyler would have been in that game, they would have lost. They're bad. They are BAD bad. Kingsbury is a bad coach. Murray is an average quarterback at best. I don't root for guys to get hurt, but he's hurt now, unfortunately. A small mobile quarterback with an ACL tear is not good, because that guy cannot play without his mobility. He just will not be able to function. And he was having a horrible year. But it was just the way the narrative played after this Bills game. It doesn't help that their second overall pick has been terrible. Yeah, and you know what's Eric, it's funny. It's like Douglas just gets a pass for that. Like you don't hear hide nor hair about him. You hear what a great job he's doing. That's the second overall pick, like you said. And you saw the Jets offensive line. Was it anything to write home about? And I know they're missing their best offensive lineman, right? Elijah Vera Tucker. Okay, that's fine. But he also whiffed on the fourth overall pick because Becton looks like a bust. Becton looks like a bust. He looks like a guy who's too big to play and he's too big to stay healthy and he probably has a degenerative knee. And the guy walks, he has to kill himself to stay at 350. That's not a good recipe. And that's a fourth overall pick. That's again, but he hit on some draft picks. What's up, Hussein? He hit on some draft picks. You know, Brees Hall looks like a player. Unfortunately, he's hurt for them. He had a bunch of like three firsts this year. Jermaine Johnson blocked the punt. That was actually a gift because that made them, I feel like that made Saleh go conservative on that fourth and short. And talk about luck. Finally, the Bills had some fumble luck because they caused the fumbles, but they were able to fall on the ball. But when that ball is up in the air in the end zone after Barrios tries to catch that quick slant and the ball pops up in the air, I'm like, please come down with that, one of you guys. Please come down with that. And it just falls. And then the ball was like 20 feet in the air, it seemed like. Just drove me nuts. Yeah, the Wilson kid is good. Gardner looks good. Even though they just didn't, it just felt like the Bills' offense was just, let's say it was off. It was just off schedule. Whether it wasn't even so much play calling, it was just execution. The play of the game, though, the two plays of the game for me is the Knox fourth down stunt where he gets Mosley to come barrel an ass over and give the Bills a free first down. And then DeMar Hamlin punching the ball out on Michael Carter, like from underneath, like, and Milano was Johnny on the spot to fall on it. Such a huge play. And yeah, the Dawkins was, you know, I think he had, what do you have, Eric? 4 or 5 penalties. He had like 2 holdings in a row. One of the holds came on a Josh third down conversion where he runs. The 2 McKenzie drops would have been first downs. That's 3. They went for it on 4th. That's 4. So if they got those 4 conversions, let's just say they get those 4 conversions, right? They would have been near 50% on third down. Near 50%. They would have been 6 for 13, but they also went for it on a 4th down. So 7. So that looks good on the stat sheet. Just the drops were just, even the one in the first drive of the second half where Knox just has it on his hands and it just, thank God that wasn't fucking intercepted. It was just like, that's the one thing I noticed throughout the game that I'm like, if the Bills lose this game, this is going to be a storyline. What's up, Rick? How you doing, bro? This is going to be a storyline. The Jets, I will say this, the Jets receivers made catches, tough catches for White, and the Bills receivers just were not making catches for Allen. They were not making catches for him. Beasley is definitely going to play Saturday. Yeah, I mean, that's going to have to be looked at. The interior in particular, I think Spencer Brown's back surgery hindered him a lot. He had no training camp. He played sparingly in the preseason, and these sophomore players, they need to play. And we're at that point of the season where it's like load management. It's like Milano not practicing doesn't bother me. It's just a glorified like veteran rest day. That guy's arguably the best player on defense. A 5th round pick who is just, you know, wow. He's arguably one of the best. He's arguably one of the top 3. He's, in terms of a linebacker talent and his productivity, we can say his name with Talley and Bennett now. Like, you can say that. Like, you can easily say his name with Talley and Bennett. I mean, on Sunday, I said after the game, I don't know if you guys saw this, the Bills put it out on their PR. It was only the second time in Bills history where the team has won. It's been 4 straight years of 10 or more wins consecutive. And the only time that ever happened in franchise history was the Super Bowl years. What a turnaround for this regime. For McDermott to have been hired, Bean, everything that they've done. I mean, for them to get to this point that's crazy. And if they take care of business on Saturday, that'll be 3 straight years of division champions. That's pretty fucking amazing. That's pretty fucking amazing. This was a football Siberia. This was a rudderless ship, and they got it right. What's up, Trevor? How you doing, bro? Yeah, Ruseo looked like a man possessed. That whole defensive line, and lost in it, Eric. I think Epinesa has played well. There was one where he beats Dwayne Brown off the line, and he's coming, and I'm like, and Mike White it was like there was 2 times where the quarterback is clearly just trying to get rid of the ball at the receiver's feet. I think it was the second to last drive of the game. Fucking White did it where he threw it at Conklin's feet. And I'm like, why don't they get intentional grounding for that? It's clear what he's doing. It just pisses me off when they do that. I know Allen does it a few times, but it's just like, fuck. I thought he was going to destroy White on that play, but I think he ended up getting hit on a couple of plays after that. And then Flacco came in, and he just didn't look like he wanted to be in the game. It was just like, that guy did not look like he wanted to be there. Let me read some comments. So who's saying Mike White has gained? I don't think he should have came back into the game. The second time, dude, after the one Lawson hit where he lays there and he's just like, I'm like, yo, this man is fucked. Like, this kid is going to, and he did leave the stadium in an ambulance. He didn't go back and get x-rays. He went back and got a shot of Toradol. They waited for him to go numb, and they put him back in. That's exactly what they did. And I laid out, I don't know if some of you guys are in a room when I laid out how shady the Jets are with their injuries. Fucking shady. Like I had said, they had Michael Clemens leave on a cart twice in the Viking game. He left on a cart twice. He came back twice. He was listed on the injury report all week with an illness. What was the injury he left for? And he didn't play in the Bills game. They had their rookie right tackle, start the game, Max Mitchell. He was gimpy and stuff, left the game mid-first quarter, like I said earlier. And on Twitter the next day, they're putting him on an IR, non-football IR with blood clots. Like, oh, yeah, and you just started that guy at right tackle? Good job, Jets. Well, there's tough and there's stupid. And I think there was a lot of stupid going on. Like Salah after the game, we'll see these guys again. I think he gets a little too emotional. Like, yeah, they got some hits on Allen. That's just part of the game. Like, yeah, they have to hit him, early and often, Eric. Early and often. Yeah, he tipped the pass at the end. Yeah, I mean, I hope he has some juice, bro. I hope Johnny has some. I mean, the guy had for a 5-0 white boy, he had a 40-inch vert. That's a fucking kid that can hop. If you can jump 40 inches off the fucking ground standing still, that's something. That's some explosive twitch muscle fiber. And I know he's 33, but yeah, it was nice to see Doug. Whew. I mean, and they created some of their own luck. I was going to bring this up. We could talk about the Dolphin game too. They looked leggy. They've been on the West Coast for like over a week. And there's only I know he's an Olympic athlete, but a fast twitch athlete, a guy who's a 200-meter sprinter. And we know what a fucking pain in the ass he is on a football field. If any team knows other than a AFC West team, the Bills know. There's only so many of those sprints you can run and so many of those quick stops. For me, the key is get them in that cold, get some snow, hit them hard early and often, get up on them by a score or two, make them put their flip-flops on in the second quarter. Make them put their flip-flops on mentally in the second quarter. Get them in and get them out. Check them out here. And I think that can happen. Yeah, I know, but it's pretty much almost a lock, Andrew, that they'll get it. It's pretty much a lock. Yeah, snow's expected. It's like I saw you're there, so you know, Erica, 1 or 3 inches. Give me an inch and a half. Give me an inch and a half, some nice powdery, nothing wet. Yeah, they caused that though, Doug. The one with Flacco, I was like, please tell me they fell on that. Please tell me they fell on that. And there was a couple of times the refs, even with the knocks, like when he goes under center and he gets the call, they stand there and talk about it for a minute. And I'm like, what are they talking about? The guy leaped over the fucking line. It was a clear it was a clear neutral zone infraction. 5 yards, first down, let's go. Why are we talking about it for a minute? How about when Allen runs around one of the jet sweeps, he gets stuffed, and then the fucking Jets D lineman comes and does a frog splash on the Allen. They throw the flag for unnecessary roughness. They talk about it for 2 minutes, pick up the flag and say there's no foul for unnecessary roughness. And then there's the other one, the one that they tried to close out the game and get the first down. Allen tried to go around the left side. Fucking Mosley gets knocked on his ass by Morris and then trips Allen. No flag. That was bad, Tim. That was bad. I saw that. That was really fucking bad. That was a really bad. It was on Jalen Phillips. That was sickening. I mean, I'm not rooting for the Dolphins, but what are you doing, man? What are you doing? Yeah, and he just looked. I know he looked a little. They looked leggy. You know what I mean? They looked like they were slow. They looked really slow. And for a very fast offensive team, I know Wilson got hurt. Taron Armstead he's put together with duct tape and shoestring. Like that man is hurt. You can see it. Like his pec is torn. His fucking knee is arthritic. His lower back is hurting. You could just see it. I love how the national media are on the Bills too much, Allen critic, but the Chiefs rely on Mahomes the same way and their defense is bad. Yeah, it's like you said, they dropped 28 points to the worst offense in football. Mahomes throws 3 interceptions, but the fact he throws 3 touchdowns and 300 yards, the number geeks, it's like, oh, okay, that's Mahomes, that's Reed. They're okay, they're fine. They just play loose and fast. Fucking Cowboys go to the gun to beat the worst team in football, the Texans, and it's just like, they get treated with their kid gloves. 10-3 Bills, the sky is falling. And they had the same issues last year offensively where they hit sort of a lull. We're trying to figure some things out. Yeah, their secondary is not great to begin with, and they've got some holes back there, Doug, and there's no reason why Beasley can't run a few of those little quick option routes, pick up some cheap first downs. There's no reason why, Davis, Gabe Davis, who played on a bad ankle in the first matchup, can't make some hay here going against a rookie corner. We know Diggs can do stuff against Xavier Howard. He's not the same guy anymore. Still a very good corner, but not the same. Their linebackers are sus in coverage. Christian Watkins, a good player, but he's a piece of shit for what he was doing to Allen. So the Bills have some impetus to beat the shit out of this team. they have reasons to beat the shit out of this team. I mean, if I don't want to see the head get knocked, if they knock him out of the game, with like a lay, with something unhead related, I'll take it. But I'm not trying to like make that kid a vegetable, Release the hounds, just like Ramsey Sosa, Al. Yeah, they beat themselves. You could argue and you'd be right. If you say the Bills beat themselves in every game they lost this year, you'd be right. Like I got into it with a few Jet fans because I know so many of them. Oh, the last game this, the last game that, this game this. I'm like, oh, we beat you all with Wilson. I'm like, look, Allen's not throwing them same picks that he would have thrown there. Oh, but they didn't make plays on the ball. Those were gifts, dude. Like, go back and watch it. Like, thank God we have YouTube now. It's like, let me show you a fucking, like, that's a gift. Then he's like, oh, they got the fumbles. I'm like, punching a ball out of a ball carrier's hands is harder than a gift interception. How many times have we seen a DB just stand there and the ball just falls to him? Because a QB, just releases a ball wrong or I'm sorry, fumbles are harder. Then you have to have the luck to recover it. Great character too, that reference is from. One of the most underrated. So I was like, okay, you want to talk about that? Oh, we didn't have Quinn in for the second half. You all would have been fucked, blah, 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 blah. I'm like, all right, they didn't have Vaughn the whole game. He strip sack fumbled Wilson the last game. He's not going to do that to the statue White. I call him the statue. He's like, he's not going to do that to White. And then, oh, Mike White was this. I was like, how did he play better than Allen? Tell me how he played better than Allen. Oh, and they pull up stats, right? And I'm like, oh, you know what's missing? Touchdowns. Allen, 1 touchdown pass. Allen, 1 touchdown rushing. That's 14 points. How many did Mike White score? Uh-oh, with the safety. Still not enough to beat the Bills. What? Then I had to hear about, like, next year. I had to hear about that. So you think the trajectory is just going to be like this? You're not going to have no trials and tribulations, no injuries. You're just going to go in clean and okay. You never know, Tim. The reason, just you gotta. I think there's going to be some opportunities for some interceptions, some tip passes. There's gonna, Tua's not that mobile. There's going to be some opportunities to hit him, and they need to do so. Yeah, that was a. You're right, Doug. It's the ribs. You know what, Jackson, to me, it's the thing with Jackson is receivers make great. It's like receivers make some crazy catches on him. It's just like he's in that Levi Wallace space now where everything he does is put like under a microscope. Because it's like Trey, we're fine with Trey, we're fine with Poe, even Hamlin. We don't even really think about him anymore. He's kind of just like, the one sans the one bad angle he took on the Jones touchdown from the Jones to Jones touchdown from the Patriots game. He's been fine. But we think about Dane, it's just like that crazy catch Barrios made. Like, I know Taron Johnson was late when he got passed off. Like, he was late trailing him, and then fucking Dane has to bail and try to come over and make a play. And Barrios made a hell of a catch. Outside of that, I can't really get on him too much. I know fucking Corey Davis went up and caught that one against him, but he left the game after that with a head. It was a he's a big dude too. So it's like, again, a 7th round pick. He's held it down as well as he possibly could have, and given the next situation early in the season, it's a damn minor miracle he's playing. The Lions game, though, yeah, that was a tough game. The Amon-Ra St. Brown match for him was really tough. That was a tough game. But see, Eric, that's kind of like, but the Lions have been doing that it's not like like the Bills won that game But look what's happened to every team that played the Lions after that game. They got like 40 put on them, high 30s, even before the Bills game. Like, so, and that game is no Milano, half a game of Miller, barely any Trey, So I mean, for me, like I see it as our team has been, battling a lot of injuries, and they've come through it all, and they have the first seed back, and they have to hold on to it for dear life. They say this is the fourth quarter of the season. This is the last four. And they've got to run the table, and get that bye week. That's what they have to do. You know what it is, Eric? It's like everybody, it's like from an optic standpoint, it's not that good, but I see it as the Bills are just putting the guys out there that they're comfortable with in terms of communication. And an underlying thing with this is Dane Jackson and DeMar Hamlin were college teammates for 3 seasons. Trey and Poe have played together their whole Bills careers. Dane has been there with them for 3 years. So there's just such familiarity there that, and then Taryn's been there for 5. So it's just kind of like they're just kind of going with the old reliables. And, again, they didn't give up any touchdowns. They gave up some tough catches, but, I don't think they're playing I think they're playing good, but I don't think they're playing their best ball. I think Elam's going to be fine. He had to play in that first Dolphin game, mostly with another rookie, Christian Benford, and Jamarcus Ingram, and they held it down pretty good in that game too. Go look at the stats. They didn't have the Dolphins didn't have a big statistical game. They got they drove the field on the Bills twice. They got that 3rd and 22, which was egregious. And then the Bills gave them the ball inside their own 10 for a gift touchdown. So it's not like the Dolphins had a day against the Bills. It's not like they had a day. I would have taken that L, Al. Fucking nothing cheap there. But yeah, I get it, Eric. It's from an optic standpoint, it's like people kick. I think he'll be on the field. I trust McDermott. I trust Frazier. I trust Butler to have him on the field when he's ready. I still think he's battling. I still think they want him 100% healthy for the playoffs. And I'm not just saying healthy from a physical and mental standpoint, but Ruseo talked about, and even Frazier and McDermott talked about, the rookie wall. They talked about it's a real thing. And we saw it last year. Greg Ruseo talked about it. I believe even in Oliver's first year, he wasn't starting right away. That's a top 10 pick. He was behind Jordan Phillips. He was behind Harrison Phillips. He was behind Starr. He wasn't starting right away. Even Matt Milano, Ramon Umber was the other starting linebacker opposite Preston Brown. It wasn't Milano right away. I think by like week 2 or week 3, Milano got on the field, and obviously, he's just so instinctive and such a fluid guy. Like he was able to pick it up right away. Yeah, I was even looking at James Cook's college stats. The only time he carried the ball 100 times was last season at Georgia, and it was only like 114. And then I looked at his carries this year. He's only at like 60 something. I'm like, I get it. They want to manage these guys. They don't want to grind them into the ground. And then these rookies who aren't conditioned, 17 games, playoff run, potentially 20 games, they're going to be completely like, they're going to be like mannequins. They're going to be corpses without autopsies on the football field. And they don't want that. So they're really trying to manage these guys. That's the way I see it. But it's a balancing act. It really is. Yeah, because I think as the game was close, it was a little too close for their liking. They wanted to keep it, nip and tuck. Just jumped in. Sorry. Yeah, it's all good, bro. It's all good. You know what? It's just I see the criticism Dorsey's getting, and I understand it. He's a first time, being a first time play caller. And then you kind of remember when Dable came in, right? It was 2018. There wasn't a lot of expectations. There wasn't a lot of talent. So nobody really, questioned it. And then 2019, man, Dable was under fire in 2019, and that was his second year. And they were putting in Brown, Beasley. I believe they had Knox was a rookie, Motor was a rookie, Frank Gore. All these new pieces around Allen. And he was under fire that year. There was a lot of fire. And then 2000 was so beautiful offensively. Everybody was like, holy shit. And then, I would say, 2001 started off rough. That you had that the Steelers game was a dud. That the second week in Miami was not great. And then they started to pick it up a little bit. And then they fell off and had that whole Jacksonville run. The Colts run was not good. That second Miami game was iffy. The first half of Tampa Bay, the whole Patriot weather game. He got a head coaching gig the next year. So again, like, look back in the recent history, it wasn't all roses for Dable either. People wanted him gone last year. So, I mean, at the beginning of the year, people were moaning about, oh, the offense isn't explosive enough. And then they got, they went deep a bunch of times against Pittsburgh. They stopped with the dink and dunk stuff because people were saying, oh, they're a little too close to the vest. There's nothing downfield. And then people are clamoring for, just stay on the field. Stay on schedule. That's what Beasley's here for. Stay on schedule. The deep shit's going to come. And we also forget, Allen's elbow, I think he's still on the mend there. I don't think he's 100%. I don't think he's 70%. I don't think he's 80%. I think he's about 90% right now. Because the last 2 weeks, he's let the ball go deep. And it looked pretty good. Like the holding penalty that Sweeney didn't need to take, that took a touchdown away from Diggs, that was a nice pass. I mean, if he maybe with John Brown, he puts that out a yard further, that's a walk-in touchdown. The Atlanta game was not good either. They had to run the ball, the weather. Yeah, it's whatever. I mean, bro, Allen's accounted for 32 touchdowns. There's 4 more games to go. So obviously I love points and I love touchdowns. That one drive where where McKenzie dropped that 3rd and short, I was just like, you put the game away right there. You put the game away right there. That's 20-7. Now you go up 24-7. It's probably at that point in the game, there was like 7 minutes left. They are fucked. They would have just kind of folded the tent there, I think, instead of like keeping they probably would have tried to fight back hard on one drive and had to take some chances downfield. But we saw when Mike White tried to push the ball downfield, they were ducks. They were floaters. They were just over guys' heads. I didn't think he wanted to take a risk of giving a team, just a pop fly interception. But when he had to try to truly push the ball downfield, like they were sailing. They were sailing out of bounds. That was not an easy route. Yeah, that little boom boom. Beasley was so sure-handed, so natural. Like he just has that natural feel. My hope, and I think this is probably all our hope, is that he rubs off on Shakir. Like Shakir is able to see him to just maybe learn a couple of things, little nuanced things, just a feel for space. And just, again, another rookie, just because you know how it is. We have all started a new job or done something for the first time when it involved us making money and just everything. It's not football. It was going a million miles an hour. It wasn't slow. It wasn't second nature. And then you did it that third, fourth, and fifth time, you're like, and then you got to the point where you could just do it with your eyes closed. I think that's what route running is. I think Shakir is more of a second. He's a sophomore year type of guy. We'll see him be much better next year. I think and it's crazy though that how this whole move is a mark against McKenzie. And McKenzie had a good game against the Dolphins that first game. He had 9 catches for 90 yards. It was like his second best game as a Bill. And and he wants Beasley back. He's like, yeah, it's yours. Take it. Like he knows. Like, and that I think in a way that's commendable. Like he's got the self-awareness to know, like, hey, this is your thing. Like, you're better at this than me. And it's not like McKenzie's a big run after catch guy either. I mean, he only has like 10 yards a catch that's his best. If you look at his previous years, this is his 5th year with the Bills. Wait, 19. Yeah, his 5th year. He's like 9.5 yards a catch, high 8s, mid 9s. He's not, 13 yards, 14 yards, 15 yards a catch for a little fast receiver. He's not like that. Read some of your comments, guys. Yeah, he's definitely a security blanket. So they needed that. They need a chain mover. They keep Knox in a lot to block and chip. And, even he had a couple of drops and he was the leading receiver. That was frustrating. I felt like he should have had that one at the end of the game. The rollout puts the game away. That's, 20 plus yards. The deep one to Brown, which I felt like he caught. I'm sorry. If you're an NFL receiver and you have a ball like this, which he did, you got to take that to the ground, man. You can't let homeboy pry that away from you. I know you're 2 weeks off the street, but still, you've been in the league. You should have came down with that ball. And that's 1st and goal to 2. And that's probably a touchdown. So there was points left out on that field. There was at least 2 touchdowns left out on that field on Sunday. Another deep taken away from Diggs. Yeah, the throw in the middle of the field was Allen's big miss. If you want to talk about Allen's big miss of the day, it was the first 3rd down where he misses Diggs. And if he hits Diggs, I think it's him or Whitehead or him and Joyner. And you're 1v1 with a safety in the end zone. I don't know. I think I'm going to take Diggs. You know what's funny, Eric? That he doesn't historically run a lot of those. If you go look at his stats, he's right on his average for his career. It's not like he ran 20 of them a year, 30. He averages like 10 or 9 of those a year. And you notice Hines is doing a lot of that work now too. Hines is the punt returner. He's the kick returner. And God, was he close to breaking one. I don't know if you guys felt the same way. When he runs into his one guy the first time, and then there was only, I forget, it was one jet. But if he would have just made that one guy miss, he is out. And the delicious irony is, I felt like the Bills came close twice to block a punt, and the fucking Jets end up getting one. And Klein, at the end of the game, said, that was my fault. I let the fucking guy in. They have a big one, Doug, a big one. And they've got to that was kind of the one area the Bills won in. For the most part, they kept the Jets backed up pretty well. And they fucked up the one time where they thought the ball had touched Barrios and they all dove on it, and then the ball goes in the end zone for a touchback. But if they just would have just fell on it right there, the ball would have been down inside the 2-yard line again for the second consecutive drive. They have to play super conservative backed up like that. I was irritated. You just can't bank on the ball hitting him. If it did hit him, it's going to be reviewed. You'll get the ball at the 2. From there, it was just that was one play. I was more irritated about that than the pump block. What was a lot more, Eric? I'm sorry. When Bees comes in. Yeah, I just don't think the Bills. You even see Dallas. They signed T.Y. Hilton. Bills fans talking like, oh, they're like, I have a few Bills friends I text with and this and that. Oh, they look desperate. This looks pathetic. I'm like, Dallas just signed T.Y. Hilton off the street. And it's like, okay, Dallas isn't an example of how to be. Eric knows who he is, a different Eric. But I'm like, okay. How about the Eagles? Best record in the league, right? They have injuries at D tackle. They go out and sign a few street veterans, Linval Joseph and Ndamukong Suh. Is that okay? They signed those guys to their active roster. They signed in John Brown and Beasley to the practice squad. And they have Kumaro that could be eligible this week. And Jamison Crowder is starting to move around. Like, you see him out there. He's traveling with the team. He's on the road. And he's not quite practicing, but he's doing some running. So they have decisions to make. It's like, honestly, this week I would not be surprised if McKenzie is inactive. And the reason I say that is, it seemed like more, but it's not. If you look it up, Eric, you'll see it's definitely, it's just they run that motion so much. It's again 9, 10 that a year. I looked at it one time and I was surprisingly shocked that it was that much. It was that like number. I was like, it's remarkably consistent though. Just think would be Ken's first year. Yeah, growing pains, a new offensive line coach. There's that too. I think those two have to get their heads together this offseason and figure out what they want to do together as opposed to carrying old stuff over. That'll be more streamlined. But what I was going to say was, and I lost my thought. I'm going to try to get it back. I think McKenzie's going to be inactive. And the reason I say that is last year after that Colts game, when he botched that ball and the way McDermott sounded after the game and the way he sounded on Monday, he was pissed about those drops. I'm not just saying McKenzie's in particular, but the drops overall, the McKenzie ones were big. And you just brought in Beasley. You brought in John Brown. I'm not saying they're both going to be active. I think Beasley's going to be active. They look at it this way. They did it last year off of that Colts game on a short week with a rookie, Marquez Stevenson, that they had just pulled off IR, eligible to return. Practiced with the team for 2 days. He's returning punts and kickoffs in New Orleans on a Thursday night Thanksgiving last year. So if people don't think they're not going to do it with a trusted, beloved veteran that they're familiar with, that their quarterback loves implicitly, they're sadly mistaken. He'll be out on number 11 is going to be out. And I don't think this happened within a vacuum either. I don't think that Matt Barkley just conveniently changed his number to 5 a few weeks ago just because Marquez Stevenson was released and number 11 became available. Like, how convenient is that? I think this is in the works. I don't think this is just something that happened. I firmly believe they need to add a couple of linemen and a couple of receivers. Like, I think this is the draft where they have to, if you look at their offense, there's only one that they've drafted. There's only one first rounder. It's Josh. I mean, at most, it's, that they've drafted. Dawkins is a second rounder. Diggs is a 5th rounder, not drafted by them. McKenzie's not drafted by them. Shakir's a 5th rounder. Knox is a 3rd rounder. Spencer Brown's a 5th rounder. Ryan Bates is an undrafted free agent. Morse is a 2nd rounder, not drafted by them. I mean, Cook is a 2nd rounder. They need to get, they could double. I mean, I trust what they'll do. I generally trust them because they've earned it. But I feel like they have a good finger on the pulse. So I think, but if I had my druthers, so I like George Pickens so much. Yeah, it's bees. It just yeah, for the most part, that whole for me, it's Beasley. Yeah, the back thing has really gotten to him. Like, it's just, because he's a tall dude. He's a legit 6'6". He's not just listed at it. He is 6'6". It's his second year. He didn't practice much. He didn't play much in the offs in the preseason. So I think, he's gone through some what do you call that? A little sophomore slump, definitely. Yeah, I would prefer it, honestly. It to me that the where they're I would say Brown, and then it's either the B gap in between Morse and Saffold is the one that they get hit on a lot. Yeah, and they but you count on the cap recovering. I mean, that whole streaming service that the NFL is going to start this year, they're going to get a lot of money with that dude. And then now they're streaming. There's whoever buys it is going to be Apple, Amazon. They're going to pay like, dude, what do you think they're going to pay for that? They are going to pay through the nose. So that cap is going to go up by I would say it's going to go up by 15-20 million dollars. And that's for the next 2 years. So on average, you figure they're going to get that much back. And then they have the new stadium on the horizon. So that'll make it like a year away. By then we're talking 2025, and then the new stadium's open in 26. I mean, I'll always root for a Bills player. I don't care what their politics are. They have that uniform on. They're out there risking a lot of, their physical health to, something that I love and enjoy so much and provides me a lot of happiness, and emotion. I'm never going to root for them to fail. I could care less where their vote goes. And I don't want them to change it on my account either. That's the way I feel. I don't want nobody to do that. None of you, nobody. I want you to be who you are and don't apologize for it. I like it when it's under center, Johnny, and I just don't like. You notice they've stopped that? I've noticed this in the last few weeks. They stopped that goddamn dive play, that little give where they gain nothing. Thank God they stopped that shit. I didn't think they ran enough. Only 8 carries for Motor, and I thought he had a few good runs, and it felt like he was close to popping one. So I was actually wanting him to run a little more, especially when the pass game, when you had drop passes and you had holding penalties. I was just hoping that they would have run the ball more. Yeah, I don't like that either, Tim. I saw that a couple of times, and I'm like, is that for blocking, or is you just trying to get fresh legs out there? It's just going to be interesting to see how they massage the wide receiver room, because they only have 4. You figure Brendan Bryant's going to play this week. I don't think Jordan Phillips is going to play. There's another area. The Bills, the last time they played the Dolphins, they didn't have Ed Oliver. They didn't have Tim Settle. And they didn't have Jordan Phillips either. But he might not be available. He might not be available for this game either. They didn't have Poyer. They didn't have Trey, obviously. They didn't have Dane Jackson. So they're coming in with a whole different crew on defense that this coaching staff didn't see the first time. And the Bills, for the most part, did a good job on them. Yeah, again, Johnny, for me, it's like I'm always gonna if whatever I have against a player, I keep it to the field. Like, that's most of it. Most of everything I've seen is positive. Our Yeah, that's true, Eric. Our offensive line, and Allen threw for 400 yards. Remember, the receivers were running on fumes. It was and he threw for 400 yards. That was crazy. Like, again, like I feel emotionally they're going to be up for this. The Bills like the lights. Like, remember how back in the day petrified we were, like the one primetime game we'd get all year, just like, please just win this. And it was like we were such bottom feeders, we'd beg for that. And how things have changed. How things have changed. It's going to be interesting to see. Like, they're under pressure. Miami, they had the lead in the division. They lost it. They're down 2 in a row. They got a rookie coaching staff. The defensive coordinator is not his guy. He's left over from the last regime, so it's kind of a split staff. So they have to come up with answers. And I hate Romo, but his point about the gaps in between the D-line result. Yeah, that's why, Johnny, I was fine. I wanted him to run more. Just don't get embarrassed. Yep, that was it. What's up, Jake? How you doing, bro? Well, he's a quarterback, Johnny. He's going to see those things, those little nuanced things. Matt, I think he's just a load management thing. Another thing they haven't talked about with Oliver, which they're pretty good about doing, he just had a baby. Him and his girlfriend just had a baby. He's a new dad. So any of you guys who see him on Instagram, like, he's adjusting to being a father. And seeing how McDermott is with the players, it doesn't shock me that's like, okay, dude, like, rest up, go home, do the walkthrough, get some treatment, go be with your daughter, be with your girl. Oh yeah, force them to throw it outside. Don't give them that little quick shit. Grew up to embarrass and heartbreak. I can go back further than that, but yeah, some of those primetime games were shit. Flutie's last game was a win in primetime at Husky Stadium, and it was the only perfect passer rating in Bills history. I remember that well. 2000. That was a good one. Yeah, that little fucking, it's like Tua does this, takes it back and throws it. Like, and they were kind of showing like this little breakdown of how they were filling the voids in the zones. And I figure with Milano and Edmonds in there in the middle, and you have Poyer and Ham, I think we have a better linebacking and safety crew than the fucking shit. I would even match ours against the 49ers. The only thing I would take from the 49ers is fucking Nick Bosa. I'm sorry, not just Nick Bosa. I would take their offensive line. I would take McGlinchey. I would take Trent Williams. I'd keep Morse. Yeah, I would take their offensive line. And Deebo Samuel. Yeah, Knox more targets. He needs more targets. What was the vibe with Jersey Land? The vibe, you would have thought, Jake, I said this early in the room, you would have thought the Jets and this tri-state area, the Jets have discovered the new Kurt Warner. If you guys want to do it, you go on WFAN to their audio vault, listen to Evan and Carton in the afternoon at 2 on the Monday. You would have thought the Jets won by 20. Mike White threw for 350 and change and 4 to 5 touchdowns. I was literally having like heated arguments with other Jet fans. I'm like, yo, he didn't do much. He didn't throw a touchdown pass. He got knocked out of the game twice. He almost got knocked out of the game the week before. He threw 2 picks. Oh, Barrios dropped one. Oh, great. Guess what? Fucking Quentin Morris dropped a touchdown from Allen early in the year. Going in. He had it. He got it knocked out. Fumble. Like, soup to nuts. Woulda, coulda, shoulda. Like, you would have thought this is supposedly respected pundits. Big national show. Well, at least in this area. You would have thought they found the second coming. Broadway Joe's shadow has been finally cast over. It's insane. It's insane. Like, nice player. If you want to stick with him, go ahead. Go ahead. Take care, Johnny. So thanks for coming in, bro. Appreciate you, man. You know what? I appreciate that. I said this to myself earlier. I may not be the best. I'm not the flashiest. I'm probably not the best. I'm not the flashiest. I'm not the most well spoken or eloquent, but I'm the first. I'm the first Bills guy on YouTube. I'm just gonna put that. That's gonna be my thing. First Bills guy on YouTube. First Bills channel on YouTube, and that's me in my fucking room, just talking with you guys. Did they blame the loss? They said that played a major factor. They felt I heard some shenanigans like, oh, those hits should have been flags. And it's like, yeah, the callers, like some people felt like on the radio that it could have been, but they said, no, that's too fringe. Like that's as hard as you can hit a quarterback with it being legal. They didn't land on him. In obviously they said, well, if he wouldn't have been knocked out of the game, they would have won. Meanwhile, the Bills were just shooting themselves in the foot again, left and right. It was nothing the Jets did. It was just like drop passes. They again, it's the two best statistical passing seasons they've ever had were given to them by Vinny Testaverde and Ryan Fitzpatrick. Just take that for what it is. They don't have a big, not like the Bills did either. From Kelly, you had Fergie. Most of us saw him play at all. I didn't. I got to see most of Kelly, which was nice. And we're all watching all of Allen, so that's the guy. He's the most talented quarterback in Bills history, and it's a great place to be in. What's up, outside? How you doing, bro? So it was a myriad of things they blamed the loss for. A lot of them were just happy. They love Mike White, Mike effing White. They think they believe he's the guy. They're you even hear some of the hosts trying to talk about trading Wilson for a fourth or a third or a second or this or that. They're like, oh, they got a second for Darnold. They can't get a second for Wilson. So I just don't think if you look at the team and how they've reacted to Mike White, and that just says a lot about him as a person. Like he looks like a likable dude, says all the right things, plays hard as fuck. Like he definitely puts his body on the line to make throws. So when I criticize him and critique him, his ability, trust me, I recognize the positives too. And those are important for a quarterback, your team to like you. That's very important. You can't be some entitled, arrogant little prick just because I was drafted second overall. Everybody's got a genuflect to me. No, fuck that. You got to earn that. And they like him. They're wearing the Mike effing White t-shirts. And when I saw that team getting on that plane to go to Minnesota with those shirts on, and then you hear Saleh talking about, well, our intention is to get Wilson back on the field. Like, when the fuck are you going to put him back on the field? You put that guy back on the field ahead of a healthy White, you lose that team. The second you decide to do that, Baldy. So go ahead if you want to do that. But in my mind, I said, Mike White, Wilson's done with the Jets. They have to get him off that roster this offseason. There is no way in hell they're trying to that they can put him under center again, unless Mike White, signs a contract elsewhere, which I don't think will happen. I think the Jets will keep him. Yeah, I saw that, Tim. It's, I have my opinion about that. I talked about it earlier. Nah, it's Flacco, captain. They feel like he's learned. That's why I said Saleh's trying to serve two masters, and you can't do that. You can't say we're trying to reboot Wilson and then have your team and yourself, and then you have the media who you can't control. It's like Mike White frenzy. Your team, your players, Mike effing White. and then say, well, we're going back to Wilson. It's just, you can't have it. You just can't. Like I just don't see how they can put him back on the field if Mike White is still in the fold and he's there and he's healthy. I just don't see no feasible way that happens. Oh, that's crazy. He's not coming here, dude. Doug, he's not coming here. That's just insane. I saw something on WEEI or some crazy shit where they were trying to say, well, he'll go back now that he's not with Giselle anymore, that he might go back to New England for a year. I'm like, fuck out of here. Yeah, you can't say anything that's not PC because, the morality police are going to come for you and then you lose your job. It's kind of crazy how that works. But again, I don't want to talk about that here. I want to have fun here. I get too worked up. I don't want to do that. I like you guys are too good to me to start that kind of shit in here. But yeah, it's they're pretty excited about him, and I can see why. But in terms of a long-term solution at quarterback, a guy who will win big for you, I don't see it for him. He doesn't make plays above the X's and O's. He's a very traditional, old school, 3-step, 5-step ball is coming out fast. And, he goes through his reads pretty fast. He's just very, by the book. Yeah, I mean, I remember that. That was after the Patriots game. Yeah, they seem they're very similar, Matt. Very similar, very stationary. They're very traditional in their styles. They're not Well, he said the thing that he said that pissed him off is he's like, people are saying, you're gonna have people saying you're soft. And it's just like with Allen last week, after the game, he says, well, this doesn't look like a Super Bowl offense right now, an offense that can win Super Bowl. And it's just like, I'm not a journalist, I'm not a media dude, but I know you never ask a question with a statement that's, basically make a statement. Like, you're not going to elicit a good rapport with the athlete like that using that type of language. You're just not going to do it. Like, you're trying to, put yourself in a spot to where it's like, hey, this guy asked this, and so you become a part of the story. That doesn't work. It's just like these athletes nowadays, especially, they have their social media, they have their own platforms now. They don't need the media the way they needed to in the past. If they wanted to get stuff out that they, some athletes still do it like that. Like, they'll use their mouthpieces, like their insiders to leak shit. But most of the time, some of them will just go on their fucking Instagrams or Twitters and go off. Yeah, okay. Like, he's not gonna. Yeah, he's making a statement. It's not a question. Their way of asking a negative question. Yeah, it's again, like, you're not gonna. But again, you're not gonna get a good. And Allen is always gonna give you the by the book cliche coach handbook player speak answer. I know that's not. He even said it. I know that's not what you want to hear. We're just trying to win a football game. He says it in the locker room. If it's 1 or by 100, I'm just doing what I can to win our team a football game. When he converts that 3rd and 15 and he runs and does the fucking cannonball flip over 3 Jets to get the first down, it's like, that's what he's talking about. Hey, what's up, Chris? How you doing, bro? I just wish we would have got Kareem on. I was watching him play, and I just he looks slower to me now. Like, I watched a few of his clips. He just doesn't look like this. He doesn't have the same burst. You see it very sparingly anymore from Hunt. Even a lot of these running backs who get a lot of volume, even Chubb, last few weeks hasn't looked right. Saquon hasn't looked right. I know Henry had a big game. but they lost in Jacksonville or against Jacksonville. So it's with these running backs, it's really weird. And you put on top of it a 17 game schedule, man. You're really, and then the type of investment at that position. You see 250 carries for running backs anymore, and guys can't do the things they used to, man. And I don't know if you guys know what I'm talking about, but you should. Guys can't do the things they used to do. Where you saw running backs toting the rock 350 times, 360 times. Only one of those guys are around now. And look at the size of him. And, he got injured doing that shit. So it's that those days are gone, in my opinion. Those days are of yesteryear. You okay, bro? I'm always around, bro. You're on my gram. You know where to find me. That's what we're all for, bro. Singletary, I felt ran hard, Chris. I felt like he ran hard. Yeah, Jacksonville's a bitch. They really are. They almost beat the fucking Eagles. I was they got, see, that's the thing, is they got boat race against the Lions. And that's why I was trying to tell, like, the Jet fans here were talking wild, talking about, oh, this is our get right game. We got the Lions coming in, this and this. Oh, we gonna be like the Giants were for them. I'm like, yo, they just fucking murked the Vikings, who just got done beating you all last week. That's a 10-3 team. They're 5-1 in their last how many games? Their only losses against the Bills, who just beat you all. And you're going to get right against them? Oh, they're coming here. I'm like, yo, that fucking team can run the ball. Their offensive line is legit. Jared Goff is playing out of his fucking mind. Like, they ain't no easy out, dude. This ain't going to be some cakewalk for you guys. This ain't going to be some, they really think the Lions are some get right game for them. They are sadly mistaken. They really are. And then they have Jacksonville, Jake, to your point. They got Jacksonville. And then they got to get on a plane. Their last 2 weeks, they are home and home. They've got the Lions and Jacksonville coming to MetLife. They have to get on a plane, fly to Seattle, cross country, back to Miami, and finish there. So they have their last 4 weeks are a bit of a gauntlet. It's not going to be easy. Otherwise, if the Titans slide all the way, there's a chance. I mean, in that division, man, and it just seems like the Tennessee players kind of like went rogue because they didn't like the way the GM was fired or this or that. There was murmurings, they didn't like that. But then there's also like the coach saying he didn't want to trade A.J. Brown, which I get. I'd be fucking distraught if the Bills did that with a player like that. So I understand that too. But, you can't pay everybody, but you definitely got to pay him. You got to pay him. You got to find a way to pay him. So it's, and then he gets done doing what they do against with the Eagles, and then he loses his job. Can't tell me the owner didn't have something like the owner was sitting up there. It's like, yo, we traded this guy. Homeboy got to go. That's a tough spot to be in. You're leading a division. You feel like, you can win that division easily, and your team is just playing. Man, they look like, they look like a team that can flounder at the end of the year. Definitely. And I know their secondary is really bad. Their secondary is like rated as one of the worst in the league. So they've got issues, and they lost their best, arguably their best pass rusher before the season even started, Harold Landry. That was a tough injury. Yeah, A.J. Brown he's a cunt. We need one of them. What's up, Steve? How you doing, bro? From Germany. Scheumann. Where in Germany? Pforzheim? Dresden? Munich? Where are you at? Cologne. Oh, shit. you're about again kind of in the middle, no? Towards the east. I'm trying to remember my geography. Kind of sketch. Yeah, kind of like that's where I pictured it on the map. I loved maps when I was a kid and globes, so that's why I kind of like thinking about it. I'm gonna actually go look when the chat's over, but I'm only gonna be on here for a few more minutes. But yeah, this game coming up, it's gonna be live. It's gonna be a hell of an environment. Yeah, if Tyreek Hill would have went to an NFC team, I would have liked it a lot more, a lot more. But that's fine. Yeah, globes are great, man. Globes are great outside, but yeah, they're this game. I mean, they're wearing your favorite unis, Jake. The red color rush for this week. I hate them, but they're there. It's red color rush weekend. They always seem to wear those against the Dolphins at home. Why am I wrong? When did they wear those last year? Did they wear them again? They wore them against. I want to say they wore them against Carolina. And then the year before that, 2000, who they wear the red color rush against at home? Who do they wear it against? Wasn't the Patriots. Refresh my memory, guys. Yeah, definitely make them wear all white. Yeah, I always think about the snow globe game because it's like the only reason the Bills had any chance in that game was because the fact they were wearing red uniforms. That was it. Watching that game was the most insane thing I've ever seen in my life. Well, you and me both, Jake. You and me both. But that game will always be epically etched in my head. They wore it against the Jets. No, they didn't wear it against the Jets at home, did they? The last week of the year they wore the red? I have to look. Because I know they wore it in 2019 because Jake, you went to that game. Let me see. I have a site that gives you the uni schedule. Let me see. I think it gives you seasons too. So I'm just curious. Okay, 2001. I have it here. They wore it against Carolina. No. Yep, they wore it against Carolina. And in 2000, who'd they wear it against? I can't see who they wore it against, but I can see that they wore it. I'm trying to see the index when they wore it. I know you guys feel the same way. I hate the white on blue jerseys. The away, I hate it. I hate it. Please never wear it again. Steelers, okay. So they wore it opening week. They okay. No. They wore it. Oh, you're right, Matt. They wore it. Was it a Saturday night game or a Sunday night game? That was the first color rush game, Jake. The first color rush. Yep, 2018. They wore it against the Lions and won. Ugly game. Ugly game. That was the Robert Foster game. Yeah, they couldn't see the teams and they realized, we made a mistake. We got to do something different. Then I think they did something with the hell. I forget how they changed it or did something with the tweak of that. Yeah, I think it was a Sunday night also. So in 2000, yep, there was Baltimore in 2019. That one I remembered. But they also wore it. They also wore it against Miami that year too. So they wore it twice. So they wore it twice in 2019 because Fitz was quarterbacking Miami that game. They wore it. They definitely wore it that game because I just always remember John Brown catching a touchdown in that red jersey and doing that crazy dance like this. Yeah, I knew it was a night game that they wore it against Pittsburgh, but I forgot it was the red that night. But it's coming back to me now. So they're wearing, yeah, it seems like a jersey they wear. Well, that was early in the year. They wear it late. That's a good color to wear on a cold night, though. Dude, so you're going to get the game. The game is going to be on at 2:30 a.m. Wow. In Germany. Yeah, I always tell people, like, look, I don't care if the Bills play at 1 a.m., 1 p.m., 10 p.m., 4 p.m., 6 a.m., on Pluto, in Buffalo, Mars, at the football field at Pershing Field here. I don't give a shit. I'm going to be there to watch it, or I'm going to be somewhere to watch it. Hopefully, man. Is that on a Saturday also, Doug? I thought we get a long week. I have to look. I'm not doubting you. I'm just a little back-to-back Saturdays, man. How many Sunday one? How many Sunday one? I have to look now. It's something else I want to see. I'm not doubting. Yep, Saturday against the Bears. So it'll be a Saturday to Saturday. So they'll have a little bit of an extra day. I wonder if that's national. I have to look. So we've had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We've had 7. It doesn't seem like that much. It doesn't seem like we've had that many. 7 Sunday 1 o'clocks this year. It seems like less to me. Doesn't it seem like less? That's crazy. Oh, it's the Christmas Eve thing. Like, they didn't used to have that, right? It seems like less, man. Steve, I'm just in shock. I got to see if it's national televised. I get, like, Comcast gives me up to 2 weeks of the schedule, so I'm going to check if it's going to be on 1 o'clock CBS next week. Let me check. Hopefully, knock on wood, it's going to be on. Yeah, it's a while. Yeah, it does not seem like that many, Doug. Please somebody double check and tell me if I'm wrong, because I think I'm wrong. I don't think there's no way that they've played that many Sunday 1 o'clocks. Or just my head is all over the place. Okay, what date is that game? Let me look. It is. It's the 24th. Okay. The 24th. Okay, I'm almost there, guys. Let me see. CBS, NFL Today. Get the fuck out of here. Are you kidding me? Wait, let me see if it's an NFL Network game. They're playing the fucking Giants in Minnesota. Let me see if it's an NFL Network game here. It's got, I hope so. Let me see if they have, because I know the NFL Network is carrying this Saturday. It should carry this one too. Nah, it says NFL Game Day Live. Oh, you got to be fucking kidding me, man. I'm getting Giants in Minnesota. That sucks. Was it YouTube TV plus location? Yeah, I'll have to look into that, Tim. I think because maybe where I am, you know, because I'm in a market with two teams. So those fucking NFL blackout rules and shit. Is it a free extension, Tim? I'm not a tech tard, so but I sometimes I need walkthroughs. I can get it. We get a longish rush before Cincinnati. That's a good one. Yeah, Steve. Christmas Eve. That totally escaped me. I didn't even. I thought they were playing on Sunday. This following week, I really did. Oh, there's 11 fucking games. Holy shit! Is there anybody playing on Sunday? Oh, there's 3 games on Xmas. So who the hell is playing that Sunday? So Sunday is the big day, huh? So the Bills didn't even get a big Sunday game. Well, they're playing the Bears, but so obviously it's not like a prime, it's not what they would consider, a prime time worthy matchup. So you get so we're gonna get Packers and Dolphins. We get to see that, and then it's gonna be, oh, this is terrible. This is terrible. I mean, maybe watching Baker versus Russell Wilson ain't so bad. This one, Tampa Bay versus Arizona. Oh, that's a terrible lineup, man. That's terrible. That I hope it is, man. And if Cincy slips, you know what? Just double down and win that game anyway. They just look slow, man. They just look slow, achingly slow, all over the place. Yeah, I wouldn't mind it. I wouldn't mind it at all. They can beat them going away. I'll take it. It would be fun to watch. So I'll probably tune into that game, but the rest of the games are going to be like kind of just casual viewing for me. That's a rough Sunday, man, to have those 3 games. But thanks for hopping in, guys. I appreciate it. It's 12:30 here. AM. I thought it was like 11:30, but some of you guys are kind of all over the place. Some of you Central Time. We got Germany, got Washington State. I know we got a few Buffalo residents, so I'm gonna jump off of here. Love you all. Go Bills. Sorry I didn't do a stream after the game. I was just like shot from the week. Appreciate it, man. Thank you, Chris. Always though. Always thank you for coming in, man. Don't thank me. Thank yourselves because you guys come in here. Otherwise I would just do what I used to do and talk to myself about the Bills. Legitimately, that's what I would do. Talk to myself about the Bills. Didn't know any other Bills fans. So I would just, murmur whatever shit that was going on. Like, fucking, why didn't they do that? That's what I would do before YouTube. I admit it. But appreciate you all, man. Thank you. Go Bills. Yo, yeah, I know. I just like sometimes, Steve, like use some of those streams, like the refresh, this and that. Sometimes they change their URLs because they don't want to get caught and stuff. So you got to find those. I could, Tim, but who would listen, right? You guys come in here and listen to me. I think that's enough. I never wanted to oversaturate myself. I know I'm not that special. Like there's a lot of people who do similar types of things, and I think sometimes you see a lot of ego and a lot of like, self-importance start to creep in, and I'm just another fan. My opinion's no better than yours. I just fire up the cam and the mic. That's it. That's what I do. And I shoot the shit with you guys, like I told you guys a million times, all that super chat and charging people this and you know none of that bullshit, that's never gonna happen here. That's never gonna happen here ever. The day I do that shit, it would be the day I don't do it no more. So, but I appreciate you guys, man. Thank you, bro. Thank you, Steve. Thanks, Tim. I appreciate it, man. Go Bills. Stream East's .2. I'll check it out, Steve. I appreciate you, man. Thanks, Doug. I'm gonna fucking copy it because I'll forget it. I'm a fucking idiot. I've got to do right click copy. Put it in a whirl. All right, guys. Have a good one. Have a good day. Rest of the week. Hopefully, see you Saturday night. Hopefully, it's a good chat. Go Bills. Let me see.